everybody to this reading wrap-up and TBR for August. We're mixing it up today. Do let me know if you like this way of structuring the video a little more. I'm just gonna talk about the significant books this month. If you prefer it like I usually do it, where I talk about every single book that I read, please tell me. I'm just gonna try it, just talking about the significant books, because honestly, I was a little slacker last month and I didn't really take notes on the books, so I don't necessarily remember those books that I'm not gonna talk about today. So, this is my way of getting around that problem. I didn't have a good month, okay? You probably noticed because I was a little absent from the YouTube, but I'm back. I'm feeling good, I'm feeling fresh, and we're just gonna talk about these books. If you are interested in the TBR portion, it's gonna be later. I'm gonna put a timestamp. You can just skip ahead if you want to. However, for now, we're gonna talk about the books I read. And we're gonna start with A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston. This one is about a woman who drives to her book club meeting, and she already knows that she's gonna be the only one there because the others all have stuff in their life and she doesn't. So she takes a wrong turn and then suddenly ends up in her favorite book. However, her favorite book, the author died. So that book series that she's kind of sucked into, it just stopped at the point where she stopped writing. So that's where this series is stuck, which to me also meant it was a little repetitive. Now, in this town, she then meets a guy who's not in the books, and she's just confused. He's the bookstore owner, and he's a great guy, and obviously there's a lot of chemistry there, right? But for me, this book was very slow. I do enjoy a good slow burn, but I swear to you, the romance didn't start through, like, once you were halfway through the book. It was very repetitive, very slow. I just had such high hopes for it, and it just wasn't as good as I had hoped. It was still fun, but it took me 2.5 weeks to read this book. Yeah, just let that sit for a second and we'll move on. I'm also just not going in chronological order. I'm just going in the order that makes sense to me right now, which doesn't actually make sense at all. But the next book I read was The Game Changer. This is a very cute hockey romance that is also very spicy. Alright, let me explain to you what's going on. We have our female main character. She's a TV baker, okay? She bakes on TV, she has her own show, and it's kind of going down. So what she does is she's like, okay, you know what, my brother's in the NFL, maybe one of the teammates can like join me for like a baking session and it's gonna be fun. So the only person in this NFL team that kind of has like a horrible reputation and is like her brother's best friend, he's like, okay, I'm gonna do it because my reputation is like down the drain and I need to save it. So these two start baking together for her show, and they start like kind of pretend dating-ish to kind of save his reputation and save her TV show. And it's adorable, cute, spicy, everything you want. Also, like extremely floppy, and I just had a good time reading this book. And I hope and I know that you will also have a good time reading this book. This was fun. I like this. I feel like we're kind of moving left and right here because next up is a book that I kind of enjoyed. Now, you've seen me read Powerless before. I've read it before, and now this is the second book. This is Reckless. Powerless is kind of this fantasy world where you have like a Hunger Games-ish trial. Now, you know my opinion on Powerless, which is that I thought that it was just too similar to other books. So I had such high hopes for this one because the writing is actually really, really fun and good and I enjoyed it. However, it didn't knock me off my socks. It just didn't. It was boring and repetitive again, and I'm just getting a feeling that this series is not for me. This book, when I finished it, I went to my roommates and I told them that I was so angry at the book and that I was just like so done with it. I just didn't want to do anything anymore. The ending just made me angry. I didn't care. I've read the ending before. Okay, I've read the ending before in a different book and I've hated it then, I hate it now. I don't like it. I don't like the ending. I'm really, really debating whether or not to buy the third book when it comes out because it bothered me so much. And I hate it so much because I know that there are so many people out there who love this series. And I hate that I'm not one of them. I want to be one of you. I'm just not. So please let me know what your opinions are on Powerless, Reckless, the entire series. I want to know. I really, really want to know because I somehow seem to be the only person who doesn't like this series, and I don't understand why. But I just just don't. I'm really trying so hard. Next up, we're moving to a book that I did enjoy, and I think the consensus on this series is just overall, everybody loves it. This is Killer Instinct by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. It is the second book in the Natural series, which is a bunch of kids who are recruited by the FBI to solve cases about serial killers. And they're all hired to solve like cold cases. Each of them is a natural at something. So we have natural profilers who are just like looking at something and they know what's going on. We have like a lie detector girl and somebody who's like really, really into numbers. This is so fun. It's so fun in the sense that you have all these teenagers with all their classic teenage angst, their weird kind of relationship, their weird thinking, but at the same time you also have these like murder cases that they're like working on together. So each book we have a serial killer that we need to catch, and it's just so much fun. I'm not going to tell you any more because I don't want to spoil the first book for you. Just know that I absolutely adored this book, and I'm gonna devour the entire series just because it's so much fun and it's just so easy and quick to read. Like, you can breeze through this book. Even though it's not the thinnest, you can just read this so fast, and it's so much fun, and I really loved this. This might actually be my favorite book of the month that I've read. It was very fun. The next book we're going to be talking about is The Honey Witch. Now, with this, again, I went into this book with extremely high hopes, and I was kind of a little disappointed. I would still rate this like a 3 stars, maybe even 3.5. It was still fun. It was just a little predictable. For a fantasy book, I'm not sure if that's the best thing. So, The Honey Witch is set in like kind of the Victorian England era, which I love, okay? You know me, I love a good historical romance. And it's just adding a little bit of witchy magic. So the magical concept in this is that the witches get their magic from the bees. So the bees produce honey, and then the witches use the honey to make remedies, make little spells, but everything that they do is out of honey because they're honey witches. Our main character, she moves to like this honey farm where her grandma lived, and her grandma teaches her all this stuff. But the issue is that a honey witch is cursed to never be loved, romantically, by the way. So that is just her dealing with that, and then suddenly there is this woman who arrives at this farm, and she's like, I don't believe in magic. I don't believe in curses. There is no way that you are cursed to never find love. That's just not possible. So this is kind of their story. It's still very cute. It's still very adorable. I still had a good time. I just wish that the ending would have been a little longer. The ending was too abrupt for me because we have these bad witches that are trying to destroy the honey witches. However, the story itself was cute and adorable, and I love the romance because we are here for a cute queer romance. And if you're not, what are you doing here? And then the last few books I'm going to talk about are these. These are the last 4 books in the Bergman Brothers series, or the Bergman Sisters series, which some of these are. Editing me here. I just realized that it might sound confusing. The Bergman Brothers and the Bergman Sisters series is the same. It's just that the 2 books that are about the sisters are called the Bergman Sisters series, and the brother is like crossed out just because it's sisters and not brothers, but it's all one series, 7 books. Let's just talk about them. I have the Illumicrate editions, and I think there's still some available, which is where you can see the A-frame of the books. Like, the A-frame is the house that they go to in Washington State. So essentially we have a story about 7 different siblings. Each of the siblings has their own book, right? So we follow each of them. Also, the representation in each of these books, chef's kiss, so amazing. This is a book about Axel and Rooney. Axel struggles a lot with people, he doesn't really enjoy them, and Rooney is a soccer player as far as I'm concerned. So Axel is an artist and he's kind of grumpy, moody, he doesn't know what to do. Rooney is just trying to get away from things, and it's cute. All of these are cute, although this is not my favorite in the series. I like other books better. However, this entire series is just adorable. They're just a little bit spicy, but not to the point where it's obnoxious. I had a great time with these over the past few weeks where I read them, and the entire series is like a highly recommend for me. So that is With You Forever, which is the 4th book. And then I read the 5th book, which is Everything for You, which is the only queer romance. I do enjoy that we have one because usually in book series like this, we don't tend to have like a queer main character, but in this one we do. It's Oliver. He is the second youngest child. It is the 5th book. And Oliver is a soccer player, and he kind of has the crushies for his soccer player colleague. He's like on the team as well, and they're supposed to co-captain the team together, and it's adorable. It's really cool. I really, really like it. It's just so good. It's just so good. This whole family dynamic that these people have, it's amazing. And it just started raining, so if you hear the rain outside, I'm a little sorry. But I'm not gonna stop. The rain's not gonna stop me. Next up we have If Only You, which is the book about Ziggy. Ziggy, probably one of my favorite characters, because she is me. Ziggy is me, I am Ziggy. Ziggy is also an autistic bookworm. She loves to read fantasy romances. Like, excuse me, she brings her Kindle everywhere. She hates like loud stuff, flashy stuff, people stuff. Ziggy is perfect, and Ziggy falls in love with Sebastian, who is her brother's best friend and teammate, because her brother's a hockey player. It's a whole thing. But I love this book so much. It was so fun. Probably my favorite out of all of them. I just love this book so much. It was the best. And then the last book, which is the book that I finished just yesterday night at like 11, because I wanted to get this done. I wanted to complete this series this month. I just wanted to. This is Only and Forever, which is the book about the last brother. Now this is Vigo. Vigo is an avid romance reader. He loves romance books, and he opens up his own bookstore. But he's a little bit of like, he's struggling a little bit, so this girl, who he went to college with, and she's like her sister's best friend's sister, so she's like, you know what, I'm gonna help you with your struggling bookstore, and you're gonna help me because I'm struggling to write my thriller. So she doesn't believe in love. I don't really like the whole I don't believe in love trope. This whole book in itself was not my favorite, just because there was a lot of sexual tension and not a lot of feelings in the beginning, and I just don't like that. It's just not my cup of tea. However, it turned out to be very good in the end. I did enjoy that. I just had some starting struggles with this book, but other than that, that's great. Also, for these books, listen to the audiobooks because they're amazing and I've really enjoyed them. Also, the first 5 audiobooks are free on Audible. If you have Audible, you can listen to them for free. That's all the books that I read last month. Well, not all of them. I read like 10 more, but they were all not worth talking about and also not worth remembering in my head. So, yeah. Let's move on to my August TBR, right? Because we're all interested in what I'm gonna be reading in August. So, since I've read a bunch of weird stuff last month, I've decided to kind of get back into my fantasy era. I know, it sounds crazy. I've been reading a bunch of romance for the past few months. I think I've read like a maximum of 10 fantasy books this year. How did I do that? I'm a fantasy girly. So, we're trying to get back in. First book we're gonna start with is Ariadne. I'm not sure if this technically classifies as fantasy, but it is Greek mythology and the gods and the Minotaur, so I'm here for it. If you don't know the legend of Ariadne, she is the sister of the Minotaur, the daughter of King Minos of Crete, and she will then meet Theseus, who is the son of Athens, like the prince of Athens, and he's supposed to be an offering to the Minotaur, and Ariadne falls in love with him and she saves him from the Minotaur and tells him how to get out. It's a whole thing. I'm very excited to read it. I'm like a few pages in. 80. I'm 80 pages into the book. It's very good so far. We're having a blast, which it says a lot. I do know how this legend ends and how this story ends and what happens, so I'm just really interested in seeing how it plays out, how this whole story will work in the book. I'm also like just really enjoying the writing so far, so this is a yes so far, and I'm happy and ready to read more. And next up is a book that I'm a little late to the party, I think. This is Heartless by Marissa Mayer. I've seen everybody and their dog read this book already, so I'm just here to join the hype and hopefully enjoy this book a lot. So as far as I understand, this book is about Catherine, who is like the most beautiful girl in Wonderland, and she is supposed to marry the king of Wonderland, who is unmarried, but she doesn't want to because she kind of has a thing for the baker. As far as I know, her family and everybody expects her to be like the next queen of Wonderland, just because everybody wants her, right? So does the king. But she has other plans, and now she has to decide what is best for her, what is best for Wonderland, and what this magical land has in store. And I am honestly really, really looking forward to it. Especially because I loved the Luna Chronicles, and this is also by Marissa Mayer, so I'm just really looking forward to it. Extremely looking forward. The next book is not a fantasy book, however, it is a book that I have been looking forward to for a while. So I'm hoping to read the reappearance of Rachel Price. I think I put this in a different TBR video once, but I don't remember. So if you do, please let me know when I was supposed to read this book and didn't. But we have an 18-year-old girl, and her mother has been missing for years, but suddenly she reappears, and everything about this reappearance is very weird. And so she's trying to figure out what happened to her mom, and I'm just into it. This is by the same author who wrote A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Holly Jackson, and I want to read this. Okay, I want to know what happened to Rachel Price. I just need to know. Next up is a book that I'm kind of ashamed I haven't read yet. I've just been too scared. Ruthless Vows is a book that I'm really looking forward to. I loved Divine Rivals. However, I heard that this book will start with a little bit of an amnesia trope, and I hate the amnesia trope with a passion that is hotter than the burning sun. Yeah, we'll just see how this turns out. If I do actually find the courage to start reading this book, I don't know. But I'm gonna give it my best shot, and we'll see. We'll just see. So that's the plan for this month as well. Next up, we have a book that I've been very interested in reading, and I'm probably gonna pick this up next, I think. This is Sing Me to Sleep. It's about a siren, and she is the last siren that is left, as far as I know. So because sirens are illegal, and because they can, like, unalive so many people, she is hiding in the Fae world and pretending to be something and somebody else. But I have a feeling that that's not going so well for her. And I'm really interested in seeing where this goes. Also, it's just stunning and adorable, and I really, really want to read it. The back says, a duty to protect, a desire to kill, and an impossible love. It sounds amazing. The next book I'm very interested in reading are The Hurricane Wars. I absolutely know nothing about this, but I'm very interested in reading it just because it looks so beautiful. As far as I know, we're in a kingdom where they fight the hurricane wars every year, which I think is kind of like the Hunger Games, but with magic. So we have this magical contest that the people fight in order to, like, free themselves from the tyrant, and I think if somebody wins, then they're, like, freed. I'm not sure. But our main character is starting to question if the people that are, like, fighting are actually her people, and she's just confused, which I get it. I'm just really, really looking forward to this. I've heard good things. It's just a beautiful book, and I cannot wait to know what goes on in this book, and I cannot wait to tell you about it once I do. And then the last book that I picked for this month is The Scarlet Alchemist. Odd choice, I know. Have you heard of The Scarlet Alchemist? I haven't so far. I got this book a few months ago. This was a Fairy Loot book, and I'm just over the moon. It looks so gorgeous, so beautiful. We have a main character who dreams of becoming the royal alchemist and, like, escaping poverty in that sense. But practicing alchemy is illegal. So there's kind of a conundrum there. I'm pretty sure that at some point she falls in love, and since she is at, like, the palace, I can only imagine that it might have something to do with royalty or, like, somebody in close proximity to the royalty. I am here for it. It looks amazing. It sounds amazing. I saw artwork for the characters and I was just like, oh, that's so beautiful. So yeah, those are the plans. Those are the plans. If you have read any of these books, please tell me where to start. I will be starting with Ariadne, but after that, I'm probably gonna have a lot of free time. Now, I'm probably also gonna, like, read more books than I just picked out here, but these are the books that I really, really want to read, and I'm really trying my best to actually follow a TBR this month, so chances of me reading these books actually pretty high, which is not something that I say usually, because usually they just doesn't work out well for me, but this month, I have high hopes. And with that, we're at the end of today's video. If you're still here, please do tell me what book you're interested in reading next month. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you for the next video that I make. Bye, everybody! The plans are going great so far. It is day 3, and I am currently reading my second romance book of the month, which is definitely not a fantasy book. Why am I like this? Anyway, I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you soon. Bye!